Hi there and welcome back. Now today I'm going to be talking about all the different swings that you guys have been taught or that you've tried from watching different sources of YouTube videos, and then I'm going to show you the easiest way to swing a golf club possible that produces consistent results and it's going to allow you to play better golf. Now you can skip ahead to the easiest way to swing a golf club, but I recommend that you watch all of these swings so that you fully understand that what you're working on is the best thing for you to do, and that way you're going to trust exactly what you're working on. So you need to watch every single swing that I'm going to talk about in this video just so that you can fully understand why this way I'm going to teach you is the easiest way to swing the golf club and get consistent results. Okay, so the first thing you have to understand is that simpler is better. Now, if your swing has far too many working parts, if you work the club off playing too much, you get it inside, then that's going to require a lot of compensation, a lot of manipulation to be able to time it perfectly and get the strike you're after. And worse yet, it absolutely requires impeccable timing to be able to make moves like that work, where there's a lot of movement going on and off the plane. And so we know that if we can keep the club as close to or on the plane as possible throughout the swing, then that is an easier way to do it. And it's much more simple. It requires less manipulation. So that is evidence that we know that simpler is better. Okay, so first off, let's go through some of the information that you've been taking in on YouTube or what you've been taught on the golf swing. And I'm going to start off with the slice and how that is fixed. And I'm going to talk about all of these swings and how natural they feel and the fixes that you're taught and why it's actually making this game a whole lot more difficult for you. Okay, so going over the slice. Now we know that slicers, 99% of the time, are coming over the top and they're swinging across the golf ball like this with an open club face, starting the ball to the left and curving it off to the right with no control, terrible spin control and terrible direction control and just no confidence. But the thing about the slice is, right, so it's actually quite a natural thing for new golfers to do because it's a natural way to get your body to work, because what you're doing is you're holding a club with your hands and your arms are connecting your body to that club. So it would make sense naturally that the way to swing this club is to use your arms and swing it up and swing it down. But if we swing it up and we're all arm dominant on the top of the backswing, the club's going to work out this way. And that is why the slice is actually a very natural thing, and that's why most people do it, because it's natural. Now, in my experience, when I look at golfers, natural isn't always the best way, and most of the time it's an absolute disaster. Golf is a very different sport. We stand side on to our target, we don't face our target, and there's a whole, basically, your whole body is working in the golf swing. You need to be able to rotate your chest properly, your hips, and stay in posture as well. And so that's not very natural. This is not a natural move, okay? So if you took a golf club and you never got a lesson or never knew that, the first thing you're going to do is just pick it up and throw it down and be all arms and try and hit it with the force of your arms. But that's not how golf works. We have to consider a lot more things. So that's the issue with the slice. Now, the way the slice that I see, that I used to teach to fix it, and you see a lot on YouTube, is that people are taught two main things. One being getting the club face more closed, and the other getting the path more inside to out. Now, what happens there is that we obviously know the slicers are going over like this. So what you're taught is to really strengthen up the grip in both hands, so that both hands are rotated over. What that's going to do is going to generally make the face want to really shut, and that seems like a good thing to do. However, it's going to bring more problems down the line, and I'll get into that in a minute. So if you're simply just fixing the club face by fixing your grip and you're still swinging over the top, the ball's going to then go left and maybe curve further left. So you've gone from a slice to a straight left, a whole new problem. Then what you're taught is to change the path. So you're taught to really aggressively swing from the inside with this closed face and really exaggerate the move that you're currently doing. So you're currently doing this. So you're told to exaggerate the complete opposite, which is going to work for a couple of weeks. It might take you a week if you really practice it hard to actually see some results and get rid of that slice. And eventually then you're actually going to be in a place where you're more on plane, because you're going from here to here. Eventually at some point you're going to be here, which is a great place to be. But as you continue to do that, you're then going to be in here, and you've got a whole new problem because you're coming too far from the inside. And yes, you can get too shallow, too far from the inside, and you're turning the hands over because you got that super strong grip, and you're going to get a hook, which is a whole different problem altogether, and it can be a lot more destructive than a slice, to be honest with you, because it comes off hotter. And a lot of golf courses I've played, a lot of the trouble is left. So That is just an over-exaggeration that's going to work maybe for 2 weeks for you, and then you're going to go back to the same problem. You're going to have to go back to the coach, and then you're going to have to learn the other way. You're going to be taught the exaggeration the other way. So you're going to have periods of 2-3 weeks where you're good, and then you're going to be rubbish the rest of the time trying to figure it out. So that, to me, is not the easiest way, for example, to fix a slice, because all you're doing is going from slice to hook, and that's provided you actually do the work. A lot of people don't do the right practice, and therefore they end up continuing to slice it, or they start pulling it left, and all kinds of things can happen. So then if we look at the hook swing, okay, so with the hook, people are coming too far on the inside, as we know. The club comes too much into out, and the club face gets closed, and the ball starts right, curves off to the left. Sometimes can just go straight left if you really shut that face down, and also sometimes you can get those big blocks out to the right if you leave that face open, because the path is way too far on the inside. So again, that requires impeccable timing to make that work. And that way of swinging is definitely not the easiest if it requires all that timing of the hands and the face and exactly where the path is. Especially because most of the time when you're trying to adjust your path, you're feeling everything in your arms. This is such a small part of your body that has a lot of wiggle room and can go to all kinds of places. Very hard to make that consistent. So it's not the easiest way to do it. It's simply not. Now, a lot of young players hook the golf ball because when they're young, they're trying to create speed. So what they do is they lift up, they extend forward, they kind of jump to try and create speed, and the club gets on the inside, and then they flip. And that'll work when they're young because they don't have all that speed, so the ball can't really go that far offline. But as they get older, a lot of good players, you see, their problem is left, a hook, or a push to the right. So you'll see them working very much on a straighter path. You've seen Tommy Fleetwood doing drills where he has an alignment stick here, and he's got a block here and an alignment stick there, and he's really just trying to zero out that path so that he doesn't hook it. But he's not trying to feel like he's coming over the top, which is the exaggerated feel that you're being taught. It makes sense, it's exaggerated, but it's not the easiest way because it brings in more problems. And we don't want that. We want to be able to fix the issue and be able to play better golf more consistently over a longer period of time. And we want things to be as easy as possible because simpler is better and simpler is easier. So another fix I want to talk about is the shank. So the shank is when the golf club makes contact with the hosel of the club and sends it off to the right, like that. Nasty stuff. Now, what you're taught, and what you're going to see on YouTube, is you'll be taught, okay, you're hitting it off the hosel, so we need to do something to make you come in like this and get it closer to the center of the face. So one drill you'll see people doing is they'll set up to the ball there. They're going to hit this ball, but we're going to set up to this one, and you have to feel that you're coming down and in. Okay, again, it's all arm feels. It's completely your arms doing all the work. That is not going to be consistent because, as I said, your arms can do whatever they want, and it's really hard to gauge feel with the arms because they're so free and just basically able to go anywhere in the swing. So you're told to go up and in, and that does not feel natural, but yes, it will get rid of a shank. But then what about when that ball's gone and you're over this ball and I start doing that? I'm essentially going to start hitting the toe, or might even miss it on the inside if I'm feeling this. That's right off the toe. So again, it's not an easy fix because it's requiring perfect and impeccable timing with the hands and arms. That is not an easy way to do it. And the final thing I want to talk about, which is quite popular online, and this idea in golf, is shallowing. Now, shallowing is, so we got steep here, vertical, and this is shallow, okay? So when people are taught to shallow, again, it's an anti over the top and anti-slice thing. It kind of ties into getting the path on the inside. But when you're taught to shallow, you're told to do something like this with your arms, okay? You're told to, from the top of the backswing, get the arms down here and then rotate through. Again, we're coming back to it. It's not easy because you're trying to do something with your arms. And yes, it's okay, I can go 1, 2, and hit. Okay, I can do it like that, but when it comes to actually swinging at full speed on the course when you're under pressure, that's not going to hold up for you, and that's not going to get your results because you're going to be trying to get it into this position as you're moving towards the ball and rotating, and it's just so difficult to time. Again, it comes down to impeccable timing. And this idea that you have to be super shallow is just nonsense because it just brings in more problems with getting that club face back to square and getting that path as close to zero as possible. So let me get into this most simple way to hit a golf ball. And first of all, we have to understand that the club face, especially with an iron, is very influential on where the ball is going to start. And at the end of the day, all we're doing when we're playing golf is we've got our flag and we've got our target. Those are two different things. Let's say the wind's coming hard off the right, the flag's in the middle of the green. We're going to aim at the right of the green and let the wind drift it back in. So our target line is essential. And what we want to be able to do is to be able to start the golf ball on our target line. Easiest way to do that is to have your club face pointing at or square to that target line as you hit the golf ball at impact. So we know that, but also we need to make sure that the path is as close to zero, and what I mean by zero is as close to straight through the ball as possible in the impact zone, which is about 4 inches before the ball and 4 inches after the ball. Through that area we want it to be as straight as possible. I'm not saying that it has to be straight the whole way like this. The swing path through impact is where I want it to be straight. That is the easiest way, because if I can hit it straight through the impact zone and I can have the club face pointing at my target, that ball is going to go pretty much on my target. It might waver a little bit. If I leave it a little open, it'll squirt off to the right a little bit, and if I leave it a little closed, it'll go to the left a little bit. But because the path is very neutral, there'll not be much side spin put on the ball, because if I swing in, for example, to out, I have to get the club face to half of the path. So let's say I swing 6 degrees out this way, I have to get the club face and time the club face perfectly to be 3 degrees pointing to the right so that I get a draw. Let's say I swing inside and I've got the club face pointing at the target. That means that the path is 6 degrees there and the face is 0. So there's a 6 degree difference. That ball's going to start on line most likely and curve to the left because of the spin I'm imparting on it from where the path is. So we don't want the path through impact to be too far from the inside or too far from the outside. We are aiming for as close to 0 as possible. And like I said, you'll see that drill with Tommy Fleetwood where he has an alignment stick there. He's got a block here and he's got an alignment stick here. You think Tommy Fleetwood is thinking about coming in here or going that way. That's just an example. He's trying to get the club to be zeroed through and he's trying to hit those golf balls as straight as possible. You don't have to hit a shape. This is a lie. That's just hard. It requires so much timing and it's really difficult to do. You can hit the ball straight and it's not that hard to do. And again, this is the simplest way. So the question is, how do we do it? So what we need to see are a whole bunch of things, and I'm going to go through it. In order to keep that face square, the most influential thing on that face is going to be the grip, okay? So we need opposite forces on the grip. If I show you a super strong grip, okay, that's both hands rotated to my right. The only way my hands want to rotate is this way, so I'm going to have a closed face bias. If I rotate both my hands into a weak position, both rotated to my left, the only way the hands want to turn is open. So we don't have opposite forces here. Only one thing can happen. Whereas if we go strong on the lead hand and weaker on the trail hand, we have opposite forces because this hand wants to go this way and this hand wants to go this way, but it's not possible because they're opposing each other and it's making it very difficult to actually rotate that club face. I can rotate it a little bit, but it's not moving anywhere near as much as whenever I have a super strong or a super weak or a palmy grip, because then my wrists can move a lot. Palm grip's also an option. It can work. It's worked for many players, Bryson, Mo Norman, but is it the easiest way? No. And we're looking for simpler because simpler is better. So we need opposing forces on the grip. We also need to be in a posture, setup posture, where we're in balance. We have great spine angle. Our legs aren't too bent. Legs get too bent, it's hard to rotate the hips, and we're going to need the hips in the swing. And we're having the balance on the balls of the feet. This is a great balance on the arms hang low. This is really going to help us keep that arm connection, which is super important in the swing. Then what we want to be able to do, essentially through impact, is swing it straight through the ball. So that's what we have to learn. And the easiest way to do that is to keep the club on the plane it should swing on the plane arc it should swing on throughout the swing. So what does that look like? Well, we take it back to here, the club face is still square. What I'm essentially doing is just getting my arms out of the way of my body so that I can then make a turn. What a lot of people do from this position is they turn the body first as a sort of one-piece takeaway where everything goes this way, but then the club gets too far behind, off the plane. It's going to require manipulations to get it back on plane, then it's going to require more. So it's all about timing that. Whereas if we go here, it's on plane, then as we start to set the club and rotate the hips, we're looking for this 45-degree angle. That is on plane. 45-degree angle is the magic number. 45. When we get to inside, it's the off plane. We lose 45. This is a common one I see where it goes in and up. The club was almost virtually never on 45. And then it's got to go this way. It gets too far underneath. too hard to time, not the easiest way to do it. So it's here, set to 45 as we turn the hips. Then we've got to be able to rotate the chest a little bit. Now, if you are limited, this can still work in terms of flexibility. You can just go to there, it's still on plane. You can still start the downswing correctly and strike that ball consistently while getting the path as straight as possible through the impact zone. So here, here, we're here. And if you can go further, then what you want to do is rotate your chest upwards. That keeps it on plane, but all the while we've kept our arm connection. Our arms haven't got away. The only thing the arms have done is get out of the way, set the club, and then it's all body to here. I can keep that club on plane throughout. Then with the downswing, there's a sequence. The energy's in the ground. It's got to move up through our feet, into our legs, into the body, into the shoulders, arms, wrists at the last second. That's the sequence. That sounds super complicated, but it's not. It's a simple sequence. So all we have to do is learn to get into a good position at the top, whether it's here or here. Then from there, the sequence is lower body. So we're going to move our pressure into the left foot. We're going to start rotating the hips backwards while trying to keep the upper body where it is. So it's just creating a little bit of a stretch. And then from this position, everything happens naturally as the hips continue to rotate. The body starts to come with it. The club stays on plane. I can get it square club face because I have the opposite forces. I can get the path as close to zero as possible because I'm on plane, and I can swing through and I can strike the ball really well and really consistently. Now, the only drawback to this is that it does require a little bit of work. But what's good in life, it doesn't require work. All of these ways to swing require work. The other ways I've talked about are just going to cause you more headaches, and it's going to take you longer to get good at that because it requires so much timing. So what I recommend you do is focus on your grip, get the grip first, then learn to get into the setup. Now you're in a setup where you're going to be able to keep that club on plane and your body can work correctly. Then I would do a lot of 1, 2 swings, so it's like half swings. We get the arms out of the way and hands, set to a halfway position, and then just try and feel that your lower body just moves first. It moves left and starts to rotate. You'll get good at this pretty quickly. It's not that difficult. So it's here, halfway, lower body, and that club will shallow naturally. It's so simple to train this. I'm showing you exactly how to do this and play better golf. So it's the grip, posture, half swings, and you'll start striking the ball incredibly consistently, straight away. You can do things like this where you stick an alignment stick down. Okay, kind of represents the sort of straight path to give you a visual aid. I don't know where that's aiming, doesn't really matter. But I just want to feel like as I'm approaching that ball, I'm straight on this line. So it's here, there, ball super straight. Half swings, build it in, and then from there you can learn to extend the chest to get further, and you can really learn to stretch to get more distance. But essentially you could easily play golf so much better than you already do by just getting into this position and going halfway there. And you will hit the ball further with so much less effort, which is what this is all about. So it's more effortless and it's easy. And we know that simpler is better. This requires a little bit of work, but all you got to do, like I said, is grip it, get into a good balanced setup and start to work on those half swings. Get a camera out, watch that you're on plane and swing through on plane, and it becomes so much easier. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully this has given you a bit more of an understanding as to why some of the things you're doing aren't working and why they're difficult. It's not that they're wrong, it's just they're more difficult. This is a far simpler way to do it, and if you start doing this, you're going to see results straight away. I get so many messages from people on social media. I mean, I've been drumming this swing on TikTok and Instagram for a while. I get some backlash, but I get so many more people saying, wow, this works. This really, really works. So I can't recommend it enough. Simpler is better. It's easy to do, and you're going to see the results. And I can't wait for you to get in touch and tell me that you're just playing so much better. Now, if you would like to accelerate this and learn this swing in its entirety, I have an online course which I'm running an offer on at the minute. It's almost half price right now. It's got 10 teaching videos that goes through the swing, and then there's a bonus feature of 8 drills that are going to exactly teach you how to incorporate each part of the swing. So if you're interested in that, head over to alexandergolf.co.uk, and I'll leave the link in the description anyway for the course. And if you want to accelerate your development and learn how to do this the easiest way possible, click the link and I'll see you on the inside. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back again with another video very soon.